but we're going to dive into our next topic now, which is Halo, the series on Paramount Plus. Dre, I'm going to go ahead and let you set the table on this one, and we're gonna dive into it.
So the reason I wanted to bring this up was, obviously we're talking about the success of Mandalorian. Just I mean, it's like I said, lightning in a bottle. It's extremely successful, extremely popular. Yeah. Chapek views that as like a huge franchise, and obviously we know the ramifications of something like that. But I wanted to get into like the opposite spectrum, whereas Halo, from what I understand, is not being received all that well, not really performing all that well. They spent, I think it was $90 million in the series, which is $10 million less than Book of Boba Fett, and they're not necessarily getting a return on investment. They actually got so desperate where they like premiered, or they posted the first episode on YouTube for free to try to get people on board, and even that has middling viewership considering the production value of that series. And I kind of wanted to like ask, because I don't know if anybody's seen it. I hadn't really seen it, but I kind of want to ask, like, why do you think that might be? And a lot of people kind of theorize that because it didn't stick true to the lore and to the franchise itself, and was really kind of Halo in name only. Maybe that's why it didn't actually perform well. And this really brings up an interesting debate about doing stuff for the fans, right? What's the term I'm looking for?
Fan service.
Fan service, yes. Sorry, I do apologize. Fan service versus not, right? When you have maybe creators who want to tell a story using the franchise versus actually kind of going into the franchise full bore and actually capitalizing on the lore and the history of those franchises, and kind of like the juxtaposition between those. Do you think fan service is maybe a good thing, bad thing? How far do you actually get into it? To really capitalize on the franchise that that you've maybe bought, utilized, and so forth, that has this kind of built-in audience, or do you go into the directions that these creators want to actually go into? What do you think about that, guys?
Go ahead, Kyle. I'll start with you, sir.
Gotcha. So I feel as though we spoke about this earlier, is that when it comes to these video games turn TV show movies, they're a huge hit or miss, and honestly, most of the time it's a miss. Because of the direction of the storyline. So you are right about that, Dre, in a sense where it's kind of like sometimes if you're a hardcore fan of the video games and it just doesn't seem like you're going in the right direction, or you want to, like, sometimes the director wants to do something new, or the writers want to do something completely different, but they want to stay inside of that world, it kind of throws fans off because it's throwing them off from what they know. Now, in terms of like movies, I feel like they just never, not even movies, TV, let's just stick to TV shows. They don't get them right. And some of that could also be displaced to, what's the word? Advertisement. Because if you want me to be honest, I'm on the internet all the time. So the fact that I've only seen something pertaining to Halo, the TV series, is when I turned on Paramount Plus, and it had the first screen where they're, flipping through what's new, and it showed up. That's the first time I've ever heard of it. Now, to the viewers, I've never actually seen the show as of yet, but it's just something that I'm just now hearing about. And maybe it could be because of advertisement that they're not doing enough, or they're not throwing it out there onto Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, whatever the case may be. Maybe they're trying to do word of mouth, or they're just trying to pertain mainly to the to their core audience, which is the people that play the video game. And I know they just came out with a new Halo video game recently, so maybe they were trying to hopefully piggyback off the hype of the video game plus the TV show, but things just don't work out. And at this point, I don't know where it's gonna go, but I just chalk it up to advertisement at this point. I just don't feel like it was strong enough to let viewers know. And then on top of that, they put it on Paramount Plus. Maybe if they went maybe like a Netflix route, maybe would have done better, because Paramount Plus is still fairly new. And it's, I don't know if it has anything to do with copywritings, because Paramount Plus, and I don't know if Halo, I don't know much about that. I have to look into it, but like maybe it is the streaming side also. Not a lot of people, like I said, not a lot of people have Paramount Plus. Not a lot of people are going to want to buy Paramount Plus just to watch this series, especially if they watch the first episode for free on YouTube, and maybe they're like, this is whack. I'm not going to join Paramount Plus just for this. So you kind of have to go somewhere where people kind of have that. Hulu, Netflix, YouTube, even YouTube. YouTube has its own streaming service,
like a premium.
YouTube TV or something.
Maybe throw it on there for now, but Paramount Plus, like I said, is fairly new and not a lot of people have it. So it could be a number of things. You guys let me know who it is. I don't know. So.
Yeah, no, I completely understand what you're saying, Ka, and like this is the thing, like what you mentioned, Dre, like they sort of kind of went away from like the video game, right? In this series, and that's an issue because the selling point of Halo the series, you would think, would be, hey, those of you that play the game, check out this show. And if they're going away from the game, well, then you're kind of like disenfranchising the people that would be interested in your show. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so I do think fan service is important. But like anything, it's all about execution, right?
Yeah.
Like I just watched it, but I'm way late to the party on this one, but I just watched Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oof, super late.
Oh, yeah, really late.
I haven't seen it, so even later than you. I know. I do apologize. I'm sorry.
Trey, what is going on?
Look, listen, somebody's got to read those Chapek articles. Somebody's got to take the hit, man. I got to take one for the team.
You're right.
No, it's a great movie though. It's a great movie. It's a lot of fun, and it's Is it fan service? Hell yeah, it's fan service. But it's fan service done in a way that's done right. It's fan service in a way that makes sense to the story.
Right.
It's fan service that works. And that's why I think it's been so successful. Like fan service, a lot of times, like people think of fan service as like a bad thing. It can be. You know, sometimes you do it in the wrong way. The execution, it can be bad. But I think if you do it right, I think it can really hit hard. And Spider-Man No Way Home is a perfect textbook example of doing it right. I think with Halo, I think they should have leaned into the fan service and just executed it really well. And instead, they decided, you know what? We're not going to do any fan. We're going to separate ourselves from the game. I just think that's a bad decision. Like you can't do that. Like you have this built-in fan base. Like utilize that fan base. You know what I'm saying?
You have a built-in audience for a reason. These things are big for a reason because of that built-in fan base. So it's like if you don't actually capitalize on the built-in audience, what are you doing? This director, I guess, was like, oh yeah, never played a Halo game, never did this, never did that. It's like, that's not good. And then like in the first, I think it was like the marketing material, Master Chief takes off the helmet like right off the bat. And look, I know very little about Halo, but I know that's not something that is traditionally done. That's not something you do. And like when you go off in that direction that fast, it can really turn people off. As opposed to like something like Sonic, for example, which is hugely successful, probably one of the most successful video game turned movies probably ever. And it leaned really, really hard into that kind of world and took fan criticism about how Sonic looked, to heart, and really paid the money to actually redo that, which was a sizable expense. And it turns out that it was really, really successful. So I don't know, like the interplay between creator and fan. Yeah. I think the stronger those bonds are, I think the better the work. It doesn't work every single time, but more likely than not, the stronger the work actually is. Because it's like, if you're not going to take advantage of your built-in audience, what are you doing?
Well, yeah, and you have to also, like, I think it does take a little bit of, like creative intelligence, like these directors and what have you. Like, they have to sort of understand, too, like, there's a balance with this. Because you don't want to get reactive. You don't want to react to every Twitter, every tweet, and change your movie based on every fan response.
Agreed.
But at the same time, you also want to listen to your fans, right? So you kind of have to. That's a director thing. Like they have to understand, like, okay, what's important, what's not, what's the consensus. They have to listen, but don't go overboard with listening. You know, you kind of have to balance it. So, Cobb, but what are your thoughts?
Oh, I was also going to say that I do understand that when you are a script writer, that you kind of do want to do something new, because you never want to go directly off of
the material.
Directly off the material. Now, a couple examples: Harry Potter. Harry Potter, it's a huge franchise, and it was a bigger franchise book wise before it was turned into the movies, and then the movies catapulted the franchise into just like a big thing. So it's kind of like people, and this is always it's always a thing when it comes from like book to movie type situation. The fans are going to critique it, but also the script writers, they want to do something new, something kind of switch it up where it's not tit for tat exactly what's in the book. So I feel as though that's what, and I could be just freeballing here mind wise. That's probably what Halo script writers wanted to do. They were like, we don't want to stick to what the initial script, but maybe they went too far off into like, oh, we're just gonna make a new thing and slap Halo's name on it, and people are gonna watch it anyway because the name Halo was on it. And they tried to do something different, and that's where the creativity was trying to come out. It's a new age, new era where people are complaining already on Twitter or anywhere, Reddit, I don't know. They're complaining that there is nothing special. There's so many reboots, so many things that are being redone, where I feel like people are watching this on the internet spectrum, and they're like, okay, so we need to switch things up. But sometimes it doesn't always work. So.
Right. You go too far. You kind of have to know your limits and what fans will actually accept and take. Maybe what's more consistent, not consistent with the lore, and and where those kind of barriers and limits can go. And maybe if it's one of those things. Probably the kind of the slow route is maybe the better play, where it's like, hey, let's stick to the franchise as closely as possible, and then kind of like divert from it slowly as we kind of gain the what is it, the kind of the trust from fans to actually do that in the right way. Maybe that's the key. It's a hard thing. It's a really hard thing as these franchises, get bought out and turned into these works. It's a dangerous interplay.
Well, and Disney has seen this with their live action remakes of the animated movies. Right. Some of them work and some of them don't. And like, I'll give you two examples of two of my favorite live action remakes.
Let's see if I agree with you.
Oh, this is gonna be interesting.
Here we go. Cinderella and Jungle Book.
Okay.
Cinderella and Jungle Book. I think both of those movies, they took what was great about the originals, but then they expanded on it, and they kind of gave their own little twist, their own little flavor to it, right? So it wasn't a complete like retconning of the original, but it was like just enough nostalgia and just enough new with that perfect mix, especially Jungle Book. I loved what they did with Jungle Book.
Completely agree. Yeah, I agree with that.
Fantastic movie, right?
Yeah, that was actually really good. And that actually doesn't get a lot of I feel like that movie doesn't get a lot of attention that it deserves, because it was such a good live action, but it kind of got lost within the rest of the live action that came out, because I guess Jungle Book wasn't a strong enough movie to keep up the momentum, whereas like Aladdin per se. By the way, I loved Aladdin. I thought Aladdin was so well casted, and I liked the differences that they threw in with the movie. And they weren't even going to add Abu in there. Thank God they last minute added him in there, because I was like, if you're not adding Abu, like, cancel the movie. But anyways, but Jungle Book was really well done. I think the worst one that they did, and this is kind of coincides with what we're talking about now, whereas they kind of went completely off the trails with Halo, is Mulan. I
was gonna bring it up.
I was so upset about that.
Yeah,
I was definitely. I think me and my friends, it was quarantine. We got together safely. We got together and we watched it, and we're just like, "What is this shit?" Like, we all collectively were kind of just like, what? Like we were upset because we loved Mushu, and obviously we knew that Mushu. People were complaining about it, that he was not racially accurate. I guess people didn't like the character, whatever. But Mushu is he's a big staple in
the original film.
Yeah, in the original film. And then the love interest, they didn't really do anything with that, and they went a completely different route with this witch, and I was just like, this is not the Mulan I know. I hated it. So if you want to compare that to how people feel about Halo, then that Halo is my Mulan. Mulan is my Halo. There you go.
Well, that's an interesting thing. Like when you go off in that direction and it doesn't hit, and you know, from what I understand, there were some maybe geopolitics at play with Mulan
right.
that kind of, you know, mucked things up a little bit. And yeah, I mean, you can go far out, and now that built-in audience is like, whoa, that's not quite the way it is. But you know, the one movie I will say that kind of went off in its own direction, but really executed it extremely well, I thought, Cruella. I think it's the modern version of that, right? Where it's like, hey, we're gonna go off in a completely different direction, take this character who was an antagonist, make her a protagonist, and like, you know, really go full bore with it. That was executed at a very high level.
I
and
agree.
Those creatives, you know, to do that to that extent, I mean, they, like you said, OG, it's the execution. You have to execute at a high level in order to pull that off, and they really, really did. So, you know, this can kind of go back and forth. My feeling is maybe lead into the audience a little bit, but hey, if you can do a Cruella, I'm all for it.
Exactly.
Yeah, well,
I'm sorry, OG. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying the Cruella angle that they picked for like this whole like fashion designer thing.
Yeah,
so dope.
Which is so brilliant. It fit the character. It fit like it was really great. But go ahead, Kyle.
No, I was just basically I was agreeing. Like my friends, we walked away from that like, wow, that was really good. Even though some things didn't add up in terms of like we just thought one part was a little weird but they're animals. I guess it doesn't really matter. But like I might be gonna get into it. But
oh, we go and brush over that.
we literally left. I'm like, that's weird, but whatever. I actually liked. I personally liked it, and a lot of people did not like it. I liked Maleficent. A lot of people did not like the direction that Maleficent went in, but I thought it was such a well done movie because it literally followed the steps of the movie of Sleeping Beauty, but it did that weird twist where the reason why she like it gave us an insight to why she's evil, and it was kind of like love made her heartbroken. And I was like, that's so smart because it's such a Disney thing to do. Where obviously, you know, we have all these princess movies and they're about love, but where Maleficent is kind of like you're showing her backstory, and hers was a Disney movie, but it turned evil because, you know, the guy clipped off. I was like, this is dark. This is good. Yeah. I love the action. Second movie, I wasn't expecting much from the second movie. I love the action, maybe because I'm an action person, so I love that type of stuff. And plus, I love Angelina Jolie, so I'm a little biased. But
no, you know, can't criticize it there.
Yeah, but it's I thought that one was really well done also, but they knew how to switch up the storyline and make it its own, just same as Cruella. So now I'm thinking, are they gonna do this with like their villains now? But I don't want them to be likable. That's kind of the thing. Like, no, I want to dislike them. I don't. And like, there's a new Lion King 2 coming out, a prequel now, and I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about that because you are stepping into brand new territory we've never heard anything about before with Scar and Mufasa. So it's kind of like, this is brand new. I don't know how you guys are gonna flip this. You guys gonna make Scar seem like give him an upbringing. I don't know how this is gonna work, but it's all about that writing. Let's see how they do.
Exactly, it's all about the execution. Is Cod? Do you know? I'm not familiar with it. Do you know? Is it Jon Favreau that's working on that one?
No, so he's not connected to the second movie. It's somebody else. I honestly forget who the guy is.
Risky.
But, yeah, it's kind of, it's just weird. I don't know.